And this is a pretty big one that Etsy just announced, and maybe you've seen this in the email, but I want to go over it with so you know what's going on, so there's no confusion. Is the Etsy Purchase Protection Program for buyers and sellers. Basically, the gist of it is you get a $250 protection plan on qualifying orders, which includes any shipping and taxes that were paid as well. So how that works is if it meets a certain criteria, you will get to keep the $250 or less, and the buyer would get refunded that $250 that wouldn't come out of your pocket. So there's certain criteria. I think this is definitely a good change to offer some added protection to things that are outside of our control as sellers. And I'm sure that they're going to expand on this more so, but it is a good start. So the two criteria basically, and there's a lot of sub criteria to make sure that you're qualifying for the the purchase protection program as a seller, is if a buyer never receives their package, it gets lost in the mail, gets lost in transit, you could get up to $250 or get to keep up to $250, and the seller would get up to $250 refunded back to them. The other criteria or stipulation is if their item arrived damaged, you get one of these per calendar year. So if they got their item, it is completely damaged, you're protected up to $250. You would get to keep that money, and then the buyer would get reimbursed that money up to $250. You notice that I'm saying $250. After $250, you would not qualify for the purchase protection program. If you sold something that was $300, it got lost or it's damaged, you would not qualify. It's not a portion of that amount. It's not like you would get $250 and then have to refund $50. No, you wouldn't get anything. There's no partial amounts. So it is important to remember, if you're selling stuff over $250, get some type of shipping insurance on that to cover the basis. So Etsy is not helping you out with more expensive items. This also it's supposed to start August 1st. That's when it's going to take effect. Here are a couple of more in-depth requirements to be able to make sure that you qualify for the purchase protection program. And these are specifically from Etsy. The first one is make sure you have a valid tracking number or it's shipped through Etsy, the platform itself. Either way, you need valid tracking to make sure that it can be tracked so you'll know if it's actually lost. Should be a no-brainer, right? The next one is make sure that you have an estimated delivery date on the order. So if you're setting up your processing times on Etsy, it'll have an estimated delivery date. So just make sure that you are having processing times and you're setting up that stuff specifically in Etsy in the shipping profile. Processing times, mail service that you're using, those will all work together to add the estimated delivery date. Stuff isn't in there or it's not correct. I don't know. On a side note, I don't think you can set up a shipping profile without adding that stuff in there. I think Etsy requires you to do that, so I don't know why. I guess they just have it in there to cover all the bases. The other thing is make sure that your items shipped out on time. So if you have a processing time of 1 to 3 days, make sure you're shipping the item out in 1 to 3 days. If you're shipping it out late and that item gets lost, you do not qualify for the Etsy purchase protection program. So make sure you're abiding by your processing times that you have. If you're shipping items out late, change your processing times, bump them out a little bit further. Processing times also hurt you, or shipping items on time also hurt you with the star seller, which I'm going to talk about next. So make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're packaging your stuff carefully to prevent damage, especially if you've already used your one purchase protection program for something damaged and you don't want to get something else that ships and it's damaged because you're not going to be covered. So make sure you're always shipping your stuff out that is packaged thoroughly so that it doesn't get damaged. The next one kind of confuses me a little bit is use accurate photos and descriptions within the item listing. I'm not really sure how that plays into items getting lost or items getting damaged in the mail to qualify under purchase protection program. That one kind of confuses me a little bit. I mean, yeah, of course, you want to make sure that your photos and your descriptions make sense and they're of your actual item. and it'll help you as far as reviews and people purchasing. I'm not sure why it applies to this specifically. So either way, Etsy says it. I'm going to relay it to you guys so you know. It is important that you're doing that, but as far as for those two stipulations, that I'm not sure why they have it in there. The next one is have your shop policies filled out. This is always a good best practice so people know what your policies are. Etsy has basically a quick policy template. You just toggle it on. It's so much faster now than it used to be. So you literally, there's only a couple of things that you have to select, how for returns, when they have to contact you within a certain day frame. Usually like 14 days or 30 days, whatever you're going to set that at. There's a couple of little things that you can toggle and change, but for the most part, it's preset. So you don't have to do a lot of work to create a policy section. You used to have to write all of that stuff out. Now it's preset. It's literally toggle it on, make a few tweaks, and you can do your policies in less than a minute. So make sure you have your shop policies filled out. That'll help you in so many ways, not just with this. It'll help you with SEO. It'll help you with trust factor with people coming and buying from your shop. So make sure you're doing your policies as well. The last one, this one's a pretty big one, is you must ship the order out to the address that was provided by the customer and that was verified by Etsy. So the address on the actual order is where it must go. A lot of times you'll have people reaching out to you after they order telling you, hey, the address is wrong. Hey, it was my old address. Can you update it? And most of the time, or all the time, I'm like, sure, I'll put a note on the order and then I'll change the address when I print out the shipping label. Now it's important to know that if you do that and the item gets lost or damaged, it will not be covered under the purchase protection program. Reason being is Etsy does verify addresses according to what the USPS has on file. So I think it's a protection mechanism for them to make sure that you're not shipping items to addresses that are not verified, that don't exist. So in order to make sure that you're qualifying for the purchase protection program, you need to make sure that you're shipping it to the address that is verified, not an address that someone gives you after the fact. If they do want to change their address in order to qualify for the purchase protection program, you're going to have to cancel the order and have them resubmit the order. I know that's not ideal, but that's still better than taking a risk of the item getting lost or damaged and then you're not qualifying for the purchase protection program. Holy smokes, tongue twister. So you can handle that how you want. If you're selling stuff that's pretty inexpensive, that may be a risk that you want to take. But if you're selling stuff that's over $100, $200, I would have them resubmit the order with the correct address and just cancel out the current order to make sure that that you qualify under the purchase protection program. And it benefits them as much as it benefits you. So that's just how I would tell them that Etsy has a purchase protection program, and that in order to make sure that you're both covered and taken care of, we just need you to resubmit the order with the correct address. Shouldn't be a problem, but that's how I would go about it, and that's why it is important for you to make sure that you are meeting these requirements, because you don't want to have something happen and have to go back and realize you're not covered under the purchase protection program and have to come out of pocket $250 for a lost item or a damaged item for the customer. The last thing I want to mention with the purchase protection program is it's no additional cost. There's nothing that you guys need to do to enroll. It starts again August 1st. I'm not sure how the actual mechanics are going to work of it once something like this happens, but I'm assuming it's something that you have to get with Etsy customer service or file a case or something like that to make sure that you're covered for a particular order that falls into the purchase protection program that's lost or damaged. You probably have to find that order, submit it through the orders tab or submit it to Etsy somehow so that they can verify that it qualifies, and then you'll both be taken care of. So we'll see how that all is rolled out August 1st, but there's nothing extra that you need to do. It should just be built into the Etsy platform. But more to come on that for sure. We're all going to learn together, but I just wanted to let you guys know that that is coming, and that is something that should help you sleep a little bit better at night, especially if you're selling stuff that is pretty expensive.